Meant to go online. Private. Okay. Hare Krishna. Sorry for that delay. It was a confidential only for the more advanced devotees. Esoteric discussion. Not everyone is qualified to hear it. No, the reason you didn't hear what I said is because I want to encourage you to come to Mayapur next year. Because you're missing a lot. You miss a lot by not being there. Right? You agree? Everybody say yes.
Yes.
You're missing out. 1, 2, 3.
You're missing out.
Come to Mayapur. 1, 2, 3.
Come to Mayapur.
Oh, now I have to see who said that. There they are. Say. Okay, now they can see it. 1, 2, 3. Come to Mayapur. Tomorrow. Tomorrow's too late. Come now. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Krishna. Is it okay? Let's have class. It's like one of those late night talk shows. Huh? It's time to read the Bhagavatam. With Mahatma Das. I don't know how I'm going to do this. I think we have to take this
for a late night show. First guest.
Our first guest. No, I have to tell comment. I have to tell jokes for 10 minutes about Donald Trump. Can we take this away? Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Vinane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Prasthaya Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Deshatare Manshakaupaturvyascha Kripara Sindhu Devusha Dana Pavanero Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Excuse me. I just have to bring up the document we were reading last time. Mercy. Okay. So this is from the Adi Lila, when this verse is referring to previous verses, but perhaps it's referring to the descent of Mahaprabhu, or it's referring to something that's difficult to understand. This is from Adi Lila, chapter 1, verse 52. The truth of these mysteries was revealed to Brahma. Oh, so it must be perhaps how Brahma was revealed to Brahma, who he was and how to create. It was revealed to Brahma by the descending process. with the help, without the help of the ascending. Ascending means trying to figure it out yourself. Descending means Krishna gives you the understanding. The Lord's mercy descends to a devotee like Brahma, and through Brahma to Narada, to Vyasadeva, from Vyasadeva to Shukadeva, and so on, in the bona fide chain of the cyclic succession. If I do that, it gives him time to catch up. What you're thinking, he can catch up. We cannot discover the mysteries of the Lord by our mundane endeavors. They are only revealed by His grace to the proper devotees. These mysteries are gradually disclosed to the various grades of devotees in proportion to the gradual development of their blank attitude. What attitude? Service. So this is an important point. It didn't even, Prabhupada didn't say in proportion to their service, but their service attitude. Right? Is that what he said? That's what he said. We talked about this a little bit because some devotees think if they do a lot of service, they will get mercy, and that may be true. But it may not be true. But sometimes you can do service with a completely wrong attitude. And so according to this, we may not get mercy if we have the wrong attitude. I'll read that again. These mysteries are gradually disclosed to the various grades of devotees in proportion to the gradual development of their service attitude. In other words, impersonalists who depend upon the strength of their poor fund of knowledge and morbid speculative habits without submission and service in the forms of hearing, chanting, and others mentioned above, cannot penetrate to the mysterious region of transcendence, where the Supreme Truth is a transcendental person, free from all tinges of the material elements. Discovering the mystery of the Lord eliminates the impersonal feature realized by common spiritualists who are merely trying to enter the spiritual region from the mundane platform. You remember Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya? He was a big impersonalist during the time of Mahaprabhu. But his brother, Gopinath Gopinath Acharya, he was a great devotee. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. He couldn't understand Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He couldn't understand Lord Chaitanya. And you know Gopinath Acharya? He said, because you're not a devotee, you can't understand. You'll never understand. Because you're trying to understand with your head. And your head can't understand. only when you become a devotee will Krishna let you understand him. Why would he want anyone to understand him if they're not devotees? Kind of like, why would you just invite a stranger into your house? So why would Krishna invite a stranger into his innermost secrets of his nature if that person is actually trying to imitate Krishna? One devotee wrote a poem. He said, why would God want to help the, or Prabhupada said, why would God want to help the competition? You're trying to be God, so why would he help you become God? Because you're competing with him. Why would God want to help the competition? And we understand it's exactly the opposite for the devotee. And I think it's also important for us to understand that every day that we chant our rounds, we follow principles, and we engage in devotional service is a sign that we have Krishna's mercy. Because without his mercy, how could you do that? Because the material world's attractive, isn't it? Yes? Because it's Krishna's energy, it's also attractive. Right? Just like if I had a hot pizza here, if I brought in a hot pizza, and you could smell it, and I showed it to you, some of you would want to eat it. Maybe all of you would want to eat it, because it's attractive. And then I brought in some ice cream with your favorite toppings. It's attractive. And then I brought in very beautiful women or very beautiful men. And I brought in someone who could sing beautifully. It's all attractive because it's Krishna's energy. Yes? And the fact that we're serving Krishna in spite of all the attractive things in this world means we have his mercy. Because we couldn't do it otherwise. We would be distracted. And how can we prove this? Well, I think we all understand it, but you can prove it through Shastra, because Krishna says, even a learned, even an intelligent man, a man of knowledge, his intelligence becomes bewildered if he doesn't have bhakti by the objects of the senses. Has that ever happened to you? Has your intelligence ever become bewildered? Never, right? Even as a devotee it may happen. But, because we have Krishna's mercy. Atapi te deva adambu jadvaya prasada leshu anugrahita evahi. This was what Gopinath Acharya said. He said, you don't even have a drop of mercy of Krishna. Therefore you cannot understand. Prasada leshu. Not even a drop. You don't even have a drop. All you need is a drop and you will understand Krishna. It's just a drop of Prabhupada's mercy. And every day you can be protected from mine. Isn't that amazing? What do you think about it? What's the story? Was it Vishwamitra? He was meditating? For how long? Who knows how long he was meditating? 60,000 years. That was a long meditation session. 60,000 years. 60,000 years. That's a long time. And one day, he heard, any of the ladies have ankle bells? Anyone have ankle bells? Can you make a noise? You heard ankle bells. He's all alone in the forest. 60,000 years meditating, and he hears choo, 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 choo. And he made a big mistake. You know what his mistake was? He opened his eyes. When he opened his eyes, he saw, who did he see? Manaka? What? Manaka. Apsara. Menaka's an Apsara. You know what Apsara is? You don't want to know if you're a man. They're actually prostitutes from the heavenly planets. They know how to dance. I mean, can't imagine how beautiful they are. And so he opened his eyes and he became attractive after 60,000 years of meditation. Hare Krishna. At that moment, he needed mercy. He needed a lot of mercy. But he wasn't a devotee. And so this story is there to show us that even someone who's very powerful, if he becomes attracted, senses become attracted, he doesn't have the strength to control himself. And then we have another story. We actually have two other stories contrasting this. But I think the best story is when Maya herself, Maya personified, everything, imagine, everything attractive in this world is rolled up into one thing. Do you imagine? Well, let's try to imagine. You take the most delicious food and you roll it up into one. All the amazing taste. That's not a good example. I don't know if anyway. Imagine you take everything attractive and you put it, and it's manifested in one person. Everything beautiful in this world. And it manifests in one person. And the person's a young woman. And you're a young man, and now you're alone with that woman in the dead of night. What's going to happen? What's going to happen? We can't say what's going to happen. We know what's going to happen. It's the personification of everything attractive to a young man is now sitting in front of him. And what is this young man doing? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Ram. And he has taste. He has taste for the holy name. He realizes Krishna is with him. And so because he realizes Krishna in the holy name, how could he be attracted to this woman? Impossible. Because this woman is, what's her name? Maya. It just personifies whatever is attractive materially. But now he's sitting with Krishna. He's not attracted. He sits the whole night. Nothing happens. Just chance. Tells her to come back. She comes back the next night. Nothing happens. Finally, what happens? The third night, she becomes purified by hearing his pure chanting. It happened twice. The first time it was a prostitute, the second time it was Maya. But actually Maya was just glorifying Thakur's. But the first time, when the prostitute told him the whole scheme she was trying to get him to enjoy with him so that his name and fame would be destroyed. And you know what he said? He said, I knew that. I was just chanting to purify you. That's the difference. So these two stories are there to show us the difference. And so when you have the mercy, then you're protected. And in the purport to that story of Thakur, Prabhupada said 16 rounds. If you have 16 rounds, if you've taken your 16 pills every day, then you won't get the Maya coronavirus. You're good. You won't be infected. And Prabhupada used to give the example that Maya is an infection. We're infected by the modes of nature. And so in the story of Thakur, he said, unless we chant 16 rounds, we will be infected. So there's so much mercy in the holy name. You agree? Maybe she's chanting 16 rounds. And today she chanted 20. Let's give her a big hand. I asked her, she was chanting 2 or 4 rounds a day, and I said, well, why don't you try to chant 16 for 1 week? And she said it's easier to chant 16 than it is to chant 2. And today she chanted 20. And chanting 20 was easy, right? Yes.
Today's 6th day.
Today 16, yesterday 20.
6th day.
Oh, today's her 6th day of chanting. Getting easier every day. So, there's so much mercy in the Holy Name. You can extract so much mercy. Every day you can extract mercy. Like a rag, you know? You ever think you've got all the water out of the rag and you get more? There's so much mercy there. You can squeeze it out. Mm. In the Veda, this is from the first canto, 6th chapter, text 20. In the Vedas, it is said that God is beyond the approach of mundane words and intelligence. And yet, by His causeless mercy, one can have suitable senses to hear Him or speak to Him. Of Narada, Krishna spoke to him. First Krishna appeared to him. Krishna can do that, right? If Krishna wants, He can come and appear to you at any time, if He wants. And that's what He did for Narada. And then He disappeared. And then He spoke. And Narada couldn't see Him, but he could hear Him. So He can do that. Nobody can stop Him. This is the Lord's inconceivable energy. One upon whom His mercy is bestowed can hear Him. The Lord was much pleased with Narada Muni, and therefore the necessary strength was invested in him so that he could hear the Lord. I often tell this story. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta once was on his veranda, and he was looking out from his veranda, and he saw the Panchatattva coming up the road. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. And he was with a disciple. He said, did you see? The Panchatattva's there. Do you see? They're coming. The disciple said, no, I didn't see anything. The Lord was much pleased with Narada, and therefore the strength that was invested in him so that he could hear the Lord. It is not possible, however, for others to perceive directly the touch of the Lord during the probationary stage of regulative devotional service. It was a special gift for Narada. When he heard the pleasing words of the Lord, the feelings of separation were to some extent mitigated. Jagannath Pashami Nayana Patagami Bhavati. My dear Lord Jagannath, please be visible to me. Please come across the path of my eyes. That's what it means. Jagannath Shami Nayana Patagami Bhavati. Please be visible along the path of my eyesight. So then you might think, well, I'm praying, I should want to see Krishna. So is it right to pray to see Krishna? Prabhupada was asked this question. And he gave an interesting answer. He said, if you don't, he said, you want Krishna to reveal himself to you, because that becomes your impetus in devotional service. He's revealing. So when I say, please let me see you, it also means please reveal your presence to me in some way. Please give me realization. Let me know you're real. Let me feel you. Something like that. Because that becomes impetus to continue. Right? So Prabhupada said, unless Krishna reveals himself, how will you continue? So, Krishna is revealing himself to all of us a little bit. Right? Because if he wasn't revealing something, we wouldn't be here now. We'd be doing something else. Right? Correct? Verdad. How do you say it? Verdad? Verdad. Vrai, c'est vrai. C'est vrai. C'est pas vrai. C'est vrai, c'est vrai. True or not true? Pravda. Или нет? Isn't that interesting? Krishna is revealing something to us. But he could reveal more. He could reveal a lot more. And so what is Krishna looking for? He wants to reveal more. But he can only reveal what you can handle. He could actually reveal too much to you and you wouldn't be able to deal with it. So we have to increase the size of our pot. Yeah. Durvasa fell down because of an aparad. Yeah. Well, that's interesting. So Krishna Consciousness is saying sometimes you make an aparad and then there's no mercy. And you serve the devotees to get mercy. So you don't want to make aparad because it cuts off the mercy. And then you can fall down. Sometimes we fall down and it doesn't look like we fall down. You know, every day for the last 10 years, shnik shnik ram ram, shnik shnik ram ram. And the whole time you're chanting, you're thinking about how awful all the devotees are, criticizing in your mind. That's called falling down. It just looks like you're not falling down because you're chanting 16 rounds of aparad. So you may think, no, I'm a devotee, so I'm not offensive because I'm still going on. But you're actually not going on. So that can be that. But if you're engaged properly in devotional service, you'll get mercy. And Krishna is always looking, how much mercy can I give you today? And you and you. How much do you deserve? How much do you want? How much have you qualified yourself today to give? Yes? Nitai is was not feeling well, so he had to sleep in late. So the experience of sleeping in late is different from the experience of going to Mangalarti. Right? Because there's more mercy at Mangalarti than there is sleeping in late. Of course, he's sick, so what can be done? But we all have this experience. If we're sick and have to sleep more, we feel different. Right? And we all have the experience that if we chant good rounds, we feel different than when we chant poorly. And we all have the experience when we study more, we feel different than if we're not studying. And we all have the experience if we're angry all the time and critical all the time, we feel different than if we're appreciating the devotees and more kind to the devotees. So we're basically telling Krishna, this is how much mercy I deserve by our actions and our thinking. This is how much mercy you can give me, because Krishna is looking to give it. Right? So, like we were saying last night, don't just pray for mercy, but act so you get it. Pray like, act like everything depends on you, and pray like everything depends on God. Who said that? Augustine? Do you know who said that? St. Augustine? No? You know who said that? Pray, act like everything depends on you, and pray like everything depends on God. I think St. Augustine said it. Make the effort, pray for mercy. Sometimes devotees go out on book distribution. They go out sharing Krishna consciousness. And they come back, and they're very happy, and they're very energized. I was thinking about this the other day. You know why they're so happy? One of the reasons. Well, of course, Krishna's happy, Prabhupada's happy. For sure. But you know, what happens when you try to give Krishna consciousness? You're focused on what? You're focused on helping other people, isn't it? And the more you give Krishna consciousness, the more you want to give it to other people. So the more you desire their well-being. And that's why giving Krishna consciousness makes you so happy. Because that's the heart of the Vaishnava, and Krishna loves that. And Krishna's like, yes, more mercy, more mercy. Here's more mercy. And as you get more mercy, you think more about helping other people. And as you think more about helping other people, you feel more energized and happy. Right? If you want to be really unhappy, I know how to do it. Just think about how to be happy. That'll make you totally miserable. Guaranteed. And then if you want to be happy, think about how to make others happy. That will make you happy. You understand, Shamakrishna? You want to be happy, make others happy. You agree? You agree? Yeah. I was taking prasadam today with a devotee, and he was saying, Indradumna Swami is now doing a festival in Rishikesh. Then I think after that he's going to Ukraine. Is that true? Anybody know?
Yeah.
What month?
May.
May.
Where's he going in April? Well, this ends at the end of March. In April? What? Nothing? Anybody know? Oh yeah, he'll be in Australia for Sadhu Sangha. And then May, and then Poland until beginning of August, or end of August. And then America, September. And then Kartik. Just boom, boom, like nonstop. And he was telling me, he said, it seems like he's got unlimited energy. Just like creating festivals, going from one place to another. And I was saying yes, because he so much wants to give people Krishna consciousness, he can't stop. He has to go everywhere. So that's also a sign of mercy, that you're giving Krishna consciousness, but then Krishna is so pleased, he gives you increased desire to want to give it. And that's a sign that you have mercy. And the sign that you're lacking mercy is you're always looking, how can I be happy? This isn't right, that's not right, I don't like this, I don't like that. So we get self-absorbed. When we have mercy, we think about others, isn't it? There was a funny question was asked to Jayananda Prabhu. Jayananda Prabhu, you know Jayananda Prabhu is Pushpa Samadhi, is at Jagannath Mandir. Jayananda was, Prabhupada said, was a pure devotee. Jayananda, he didn't sleep much, and he worked very hard. Once he was in Prabhupada's room for darshan, he just sat down and fell asleep, and naturally you'd wake up somebody. Prabhupada said, don't wake him up. He's working harder than all of them. He worked very, very hard. Never complained, just worked. He's always happy. And one devotee said, Jayananda Prabhu, how do you make spiritual advancement? He said, actually, I don't know, I'm too busy serving. It wasn't a joke, he was honestly felt. He said, I don't know the philosophy that well, I'm just like, I don't really think about it, I'm too busy serving. So that's the mood of the selfless devotee. Not even thinking so much. Even about his own spiritual advancement. Of course, we should be aware, but he was very Krishna conscious. He did take care of his sadhana. But he was so busy serving, he didn't really think about his spiritual advancement. He didn't have to, because he was advancing. And when I was initiated, we're still trying to figure out when. It could be tomorrow. Like, tomorrow could be my anniversary, because it was on a Sunday. We just don't know what Sunday it is. I can't find out. This month, 50 years ago, I was initiated. So you can all give me $1 million for my 50th. No, you give me $50,000 for my 50th. So, only kidding. So, the morning of the initiation, right before we're going in the temple president called us in. And he said something very interesting. He said, don't try to make spiritual advancement. Just try to serve Prabhupada. Just try to please Prabhupada. And automatically you'll make spiritual advancement. In other words, get out of yourself and get into the mood of service. And one of my godbrothers told me a story that he was having difficulty. And Prabhupada told him, he was Prabhupada's servant, and Prabhupada said, just continue in your service and I'll take care of you. And they had this discussion one evening, and the next morning in class, Prabhupada said the same thing. He said, don't try to make spiritual advancement, just try to serve your spiritual master. And he was looking right at that devotee when he said that. And that devotee, he felt weak, and he felt he needed to try to take care of himself and make spiritual advancement, and he fell down, trying to take care of himself, doing what he thought may be best. He fell down. And while he was with Prabhupada, he wasn't even chanting his rounds, and Prabhupada said, or all of his rounds, and Prabhupada said, don't worry, you just do the service, I'll maintain you. I'll take care of you. Isn't that interesting? Maintained by mercy, by being selfless. So, if you want to be happy, don't try. If you want to be miserable, try to be happy. That's my personal experience. It's also the advice of Prahlad Maharaj. So you have any questions? You all look very depressed right now. Why? Do you think I forbid you to have pizza? Is that why you're depressed? Yes?
Sometimes we think making spiritual advancement is pleasing to Prabhupada.
Yes. Yes. Making spiritual advancement is pleasing to Prabhupada, but we have to know how to make it. And sometimes when trying to make it, we may do it the wrong way and not be making it, because we may be too self-centered. There's one story, even a devotee was chanting 64 rounds, but Prabhupada didn't want him to do it. And Prabhupada said that his chanting of 64 rounds, because it's what he wanted to do and not what Prabhupada wanted to do, was selfish. Isn't that interesting? It's a spiritual activity, but the mentality is completely wrong. So you can do the right thing with the wrong mentality. And therefore, even you're chanting 64 rounds, but you're not making advancement because your spiritual master may not want you to do that. At least in this case, we know Prabhupada didn't want him to do it. So you just have to know how to make spiritual advancement. You know, it's like you can't make spiritual advancement at the same time disobey the order of your spiritual master. I mean, some instructions, of course, are difficult to follow. We can't follow immediately, but if your spiritual master says, no, I don't want you to chant 64, I want you to be engaged in service. No, I want to chant 64. And this devotee was living independently, because he didn't want to be with devotees, because he felt if he's hanging around with devotees, there'll be no time to chant 64 rounds. And so Prabhupada saw he was living separately, and it wasn't good for him. And he wasn't ready, he wasn't qualified at that point. So, right? Yes?
How can we be conscious we are doing the right thing but the wrong way?
Good question. How can we know we're doing the right thing in the wrong way? The attitude should be that I'm doing this to please Guru and Krishna. And anything else, attitude is there. It's not good. Now, sometimes we say, I'd like to do this service, so then how could I think that I should do this to please Krishna, because it's something I like to do, and even if I weren't a devotee, I would do it. But you like to do it, and you have that service, so you're fortunate. That's good. Krishna's given you a service you're inspired to do. But do it to please Him. Don't do it to please yourself. You like to paint. So you could just paint some crazy abstract painting. Right? Because let's say you like to paint abstract. But then you think, no, I like to paint, but now I have to paint Krishna Lila. I have to paint something that we can use for illustrating the books. So now I'm doing it for Krishna's pleasure. I still like doing it, but now it's controlled. So it's not for me anymore. So maybe I like to paint in a certain way, and I paint that way. And I say, no, that style is not for devotional paintings. So like that, you adjust. Or like, I like to do music, but I can't just do any music and sing anything. So I like to do music, and I think, okay, so how will I please Krishna with the music? I have to think like that. Or whatever it is that you like to do. How will Krishna be pleased? If you have that attitude, you're good. Because the other attitude is the attitude we brought with us into this world, into this body, and many bodies. What do I want? What will make me happy? What will make me feel good? And we find, ultimately, whatever we think will make us feel good, it has negative ramifications as well. Just like, maybe there's many things in your life you've done that you really enjoyed and made you happy, but there's a problem. In order to do that, you have to have a body. And that creates other problems. And you have to have a mind that creates other problems. And you have to live on this plane of existence, and that creates other problems. Now meditate on this. There's a place where the modes of nature don't exist. And because the modes of nature don't exist, ignorance is what destroys things, so there's no destruction. And passion creates them, there's no creation. And even in the mode of goodness, you have to do some tapasya to get happiness. But there, the very atmosphere is comprised of eternity and happiness. Sound good? If we were in the spiritual world now, this class could go on forever. And nobody would get tired or hungry or bored or anything. Our very bodies are made of ananda, satchit ananda. Can you imagine? Your body is composed of bliss and eternity and knowledge. Yes?
I heard one class here some days ago, and it was also about being happy, and how Srila Prabhupada actually really wanted to make sure that
Yes.
everybody's happy, and
Yes.
he wouldn't tolerate a certain making a sad face.
Yes.
So I understood that it is our responsibility actually, or our obligation, to make sure we are happy.
Yes, it's
So
true.
how to make sure that we don't fall prey to this, maybe what some people call premature transcendentalist syndrome, and pretend being something higher than they are, and maybe denying some negative emotions. Where do negative emotions have place in our process?
Well,
Sadness, anger.
it's true. Prabhupada was happy when we were happy. But you could be happy on even the very beginning stages of devotional service. Just to have Sangha devoted. Just to begin the process. Here's some beads, chant. Yeah. So, if we're in the right attitude and we execute our sadhana and seva with the desire to please Krishna and serve Him, we'll be happy. What did you call it? Premature transcendentalist syndrome.
I think I lived like that for many decades. I grew up in this movement, and I never really found a reason to be unhappy, but still I carried some baggage with me which I wasn't aware of.
Yeah.
It's just coming out now in my
Yeah,
late
yeah.
30s.
Yeah, okay.
I feel I can't go on just pretending.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I was a happy kid, or a happy teenager in Krishna Consciousness.
Yeah, that's good. I don't think realizing the baggage and being unhappy need to go together at the same time. Actually, another way of looking at it is, if you realize the baggage, you should be happy that finally you realize there's some things there that need working. You know, like sometimes you go to an allopathic doctor and you say, I'm tired, I have a pain in my back. And what do they say? Nothing's wrong with you, you're fine. And you say, I'm not fine. No, we didn't find anything wrong with you, go home. We can't do anything. Then you go to like a Chinese doctor, an Ayurvedic doctor. And well, it's the spleen that's affecting the liver and the kidney because you're eating foods that are too hot. And so, you know, and then you come home and he's like, I'm so happy that this doctor found out all the things wrong with me, because now we can cure it. So it's something like that. If we take it that way, then when we realize what we need to work on, we could be happy. As I found out.
I feel more real, and that actually makes me feel happy. I also feel I feel more happiness even
Yeah.
if I am
More real, yeah. And that,
connected.
I think what you're saying is that we may think we're more transcendental than we are, and by realizing all what's going on an emotional level, you realize it's not as transcendental or aloof as you thought. Yeah. What I experience also is that sometimes we are so absorbed in Krishna consciousness, we kind of transcend our nature. And so we don't really, it's like the disease is there, but it's not affecting us.
Can we continue like that back to normal?
You'd have to be very Krishna conscious at every moment. It generally catches up with you after a while.
Yeah, that's true.
It's like, okay, you have the disease, but your positive attitude, and you exercise.
Helping others all the time, which makes one happy, but it's not.
Yeah. So you have to take care of the disease also. Can't neglect it. But it should be done happily. Because Krishna says it's susukam, kartamabhyam. It's devotional service is done happily. So even, like if you read the songs of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he talks about a lot of things which seem to be negative, but he puts them in a positive light. And one time he said, when there's difficulty, I just feel like it's a fortune that I could undergo these difficulties in Krishna's service. And when he sees his baggage, he prays more. I need more help, Krishna. So when you see your baggage, you can intensify your prayer for mercy and help. So I think that kind of answers the question that if we don't see it, then we may not pray for the help we need. So that would be unfortunate. It's beautiful to know that whatever problem you have, you can put that to Krishna, you can pray to Krishna, you can chant about it, and get some guidance how to deal with it, and some realization. And I think the fact that you see where you need to improve is a sign that Krishna has given you some mercy to be able to see that. And maybe he didn't let you see it when you were younger because you would have known how to deal with it well, perhaps. Or it wouldn't have been ready, or you would have denied it. Now, when you say the pre-transcendence syndrome, I think what happens to a lot of us is that if you engage nicely in devotional service, you do transcend, at least while you're engaged. Like if you go into a kirtan, you can be in a very bad consciousness, but you go into kirtan, if you stay long enough and it's good kirtan, you feel transcendently blissful, which could make you think that actually that's the level, that's where my spiritual barometer is. But the spiritual barometer may be lower, but because you have good association, you think it's higher. And just like a lot of us, we come to Mayapur, everything gets better. And we could start thinking, wow, I'm so Krishna conscious now. And then we leave Mayapur, and a few weeks later we think, wow, I'm not so Krishna conscious now. And then, so I think that's part of the problem. It's like when you're in the right environment, it elevates you. But it's not you that's elevated, it's the process that's elevated. So, of course, gradually you become elevated, but being in the fire of the process makes us feel more elevated, experience a greater degree of Krishna consciousness than maybe we have inside of us. It's just like here, we're in the Sangha, so I get to feel everybody's bhakti. We have the kirtan, I feel everyone's bhakti. And you want to hear, so because you want to hear, it makes me say things that perhaps I wouldn't say to the four walls if nobody was here and I was giving class. So then I think, wow, I said some nice things today. Maybe I wouldn't have said them if you weren't here. I'm just giving a class. You know, that's because nobody came, so I'll give a class to the four walls. So we just need to understand that a lot of times our advancement that we're making, that we think is us, is due to the mercy of the devotees, mercy of the Guru, mercy of Prabhupada, mercy of the process.
So how would you suggest to find the right balance between looking at my baggage without becoming self-centered and yet engaging in preaching and being happy by helping others?
Because devotional service is wonderful, with or without baggage. That's why. In spite of the baggage, I can still go on happily. I don't have to allow the baggage to stop me.
But it does.
You know, it doesn't have to. You're in the shower, all right, you're dirty, but you're getting clean. So, I'm so dirty, I'm so depressed, I'm so dirty. No, I'm getting clean, you know.
Yeah, I really like your point of not being depressed. It's our duty not to be depressed, but to really be happy.
I think, you know, I think some people like to be depressed. It's their nature. Makes them feel good. Makes them feel good, you know.
Thank you.
How you doing today? Oh, really bad. What happened? Nothing. I'm feeling happy. It makes me uncomfortable. I need some more depression. That makes me feel better. Serious. I know somebody like that. Cannot feel happy if she's not depressed because she feels she deserves it. Hare Krishna. And I may not feel that I deserve to be happy, but Prabhupada wants me to be happy, and he's given me a process to be happy. So in spite of everything that's wrong with me, why not be happy in bhakti? That's the way the pure devotee thinks. Despite whatever, I'm happy that I can serve Krishna. You know, in one sense you could say I'm even happier knowing all the things that are wrong with me and Krishna still lets me serve him. That should make me even happier. Right?
And it also makes me feel closer to other living entities. When I was a teenager, I felt very proud of being a good devotee.
Yeah.
And then later I came to find out that I'm not even really a human being yet.
But that means you're
But
making...
that made me feel much more comfortable
with other human beings. Yeah. Prabhupada said we should respect everyone. It's a long way to go. What's that? It's a drama? Oh, you missed it. Anything else? Okay. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Prabhupada Hari Hari Om.